Hey everybody, Christine here, and thank you for joining us here on Help Solve the Case while we continue our review of Broken Plea by Christopher Whitcomb, the retired FBI agent, and this is regarding the Kohberger case. He got access to the evidence, to the defense files, some of them, not all of them, and man, has it been earth-shattering. Now, I've been staying in a silo and I go through these videos. I read them live, probably not as fast as you all would like, but I try to give my take on what I think is happening. And I was trying to stay in a silo, but I couldn't because Thank You Outcast told me that Dr. Turvey was speaking live last night. So I did catch that. And I don't know. I haven't finished the book. We definitely need to go through all the evidence. I can't make any kind of decision where we are at this point. But something, Dr. Turvey, have I got something good for you? Something Dr. Turvey mentioned last night reminded me, and I commented on the video, because one of the questions has been, how could somebody kill all these people as a lone offender? And let me show you what I have saved, carried around with me for a long time since I was a cop, and I want to show you this. Can you read that? Okay. Have I got the goods for you? This is my police training book for sworn police only. I don't know why I'm blurry again. This camera is being funky dunky. I don't know what's wrong with it. Sorry, guys. But I have this binder and here it comes back. I am going to go through it and we're going to talk about this. And I'm going to save my surprise for later. But I'm so excited. I think you guys are going to be excited too. This is the cop version. Okay, this is the inside scoop right here. All right, and I think it will be applicable. All right, okay. So going back to our book, the last video I did over this search warrant, we started talking about the search warrant and the arrest warrant for Bryan Kohberger. Remember, he went to Pennsylvania. We were talking about them, the FBI agents and the police, talking to Bryan's mom in Pennsylvania. And we're going through this affidavit that's supposedly verbatim in the Broken Plea book. And the dates just went all kinds of crazy on me, because Brett Payne testified in the FGG hearing, which that's how I started this case, that he didn't know anything about Bryan prior to December 20th. And there's a couple dates here that I'm not sure, and I've asked you guys to comment on that. So I don't know, but we are going to pick up here. And what I'm doing is, because there is so much technology here, I'm just going to read some highlights, and then probably I may just go through the affidavit by itself. And since it's a published document, I will find the original document and we will go through that. And maybe that is, let me just think, that's a better idea. I know that a lot of you are waiting for me to get through the book so we can talk in earnest. Because let me just see. This is okay. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to stop there because I've got this date discrepancy potentially that I'm not sure of, and I love that's one of my specialties. As a law enforcement expert witness, I get called into cases to go over all kinds of anything cop. Okay, I provide an opinion on, and I love search warrant affidavits and I love probable cause affidavit. Like, I like the whole thing, but I really like reading those. And so maybe we'll take that separate and we'll do that. So if we're going to do that, we'll continue on. Okay. I put this note here on screen about the phone records, but we'll save that. They're talking about text messages here. And I'm just going to give you Whitcomb's commentary. So he says, among files accessed by the author are 3,509 text messages sent and received by Bryan Kohberger between June 23rd and December 29, 2022. Whitcomb says the fact that Bill Thompson's office did not refer to a single one speaks volumes about Kohberger's mindset and how he interacted with the world around him. Wow. That's kind of crazy. Because they always pull out something, right? Somebody being rude, somebody being mean, somebody using bad language, somebody talking to somebody they shouldn't have. Wow. Now he continues, he said, detailed analysis reveals patterns that might have interested behavioral analysts if they had been called in by either side in this case. In the lack of a behavioral analysis for the crime or on Bryan, to my understanding, Whitcomb touched on that previously, is interesting too. I mentioned that there's been calls to, if it has been done, to release it in the Nancy Guthrie case, right? To help us better understand, like disorganized, organized, like what are we looking for? Okay, so he's talking about statistically more than 99.9% of Kohberger's cell contacts involved members of his family. He says of those, roughly 70% were back and forth with his mother and father, followed by about 30% with his sisters Amanda and Melissa. Virtually all communications were positive, cheerful, and you see it being banal, normal, everyday stuff. He said the real interest, let's see, hold on, let me grab that. He says here, the real interest police took in his personal communications, of course, involved state of mind and motive. What they found probably seemed disappointing considering that his first text Saturday morning was sent at 4:11 a.m. to his mother, a JPEG image that was not further disclosed. He continued to text his family at 4:24 a.m. and 4:28 a.m., but sent nothing else until 4:33 p.m. when he reached out to his father asking for a call and got a text in return from his mother. It said, "Bud, sorry, I was exercising and totally out of breath. We'll be able to talk well." So I was totally out of breath to be able to talk well. I will talk to you later this evening. Finalizing my little routine. So here's an interesting thing. 4:11 a.m., 4:24 a.m., 4:28 a.m. Was he up in the morning early because he was able to catch his parents and his family before school? Okay. And Whitcomb says here that while Kohberger was very close to his mom, it would be negligent to overlook his relationship to the man police used to track the K-bar sheath DNA. Michael Kohberger, that's his dad, spent 3 days driving 2,600 miles from Pullman, Washington to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania with his son shortly after the murders. Perhaps police likely thought they had discussed the crimes. Now, this says here, on December 20th, 2022, Michael was interviewed at the Pennsylvania State Police Fern Ridge Barracks in Blakesley, Pennsylvania by agents Jared Whitmire and Joseph F. Noon of the FBI. See these dates. Let me post this here. See, guys, this is This is December 30th. The Pennsylvania State Police today assisted the city of Moscow, Idaho Police Department, Idaho State Police, and the FBI in the apprehension of a suspect in the homicides of 4 University of Idaho students that occurred November 13th. He was arrested on a fugitive from justice warrant early this morning. So is the book wrong? Am I crazy? Is the book wrong? Because Whitcomb has here, there's a snip. On December 20th, 2022, Michael Kohberger was interviewed at Pennsylvania State Police, It's important to note that at approximately 1:20 a.m., arrest and search warrants have been executed in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, at the family home. Kohberger had been detained on site by the Pennsylvania State Police Emergency Response Team, but was released from temporary custody by the PSP officers once the scene was secured. They say Kohberger was advised that any conversation with law enforcement would be voluntary. Once he agreed, he was transported by FBI agents to the Fern Ridge Barracks in Blakesley. Did we not just see that? Upon arrival, he was accompanied to an interview room where he met with interviewing agents for approximately 3 hours and 32 minutes. With the exception of travel from Mr. Kohberger's residence to the PSP Fern Ridge, the duration of the interview was audio-video recorded. Upon the conclusion of the interview, M. Kohberger, this is Father Kohberger, Father Kohberger was taken to another waiting room where he met with his wife and daughter. Nothing Michael Kohberger told the FBI agents appears to have been mentioned in Bill Thompson's findings. That's a prosecutor. We may surmise that he was not Mirandized because he was not in custody at the time and has never been suspected of wrongdoing or involvement in the crimes. But everything he said could have been used against his son at trial. It seems reasonable to believe Michael Kohberger told the FBI nothing incriminating about his son. What may be less known, however, is that other people close to Bryan Kohberger were far more open. So, I'm confused about these dates. Okay. I'm just going to finish this section here. They talk about detective on March 1st, 2023, Idaho State detectives Jake Schweck and Gideon Roberts traveled about 85 miles south of Moscow to the North Idaho Correctional Institute in hopes of gaining insights from 2 inmates who had spent time with Kohberger shortly after his arrest. Okay, and we had talked about that. We had mentioned that there wasn't even a peep of anybody trying to, right or wrong, assert that something had been said, right? Because folks do that, right? We know that. So they said they interviewed Micah James DeMoss and Jesse Eugene Burnett, and they had been housed with Kohberger at the Latah County Sheriff's Office jail. It says the interviews were audio recorded, but only Roberts' report was turned over to the defense. Weird. According to Roberts' reports, DeMoss and Burnett were interviewed separately. Good. After being advised of their Miranda rights and the purpose of the interview, I don't know if they were still in custody or whatever. DeMoss said he couldn't remember the exact date, but he believed Kohberger had placed in their pod a few days after New Year's Day. They stated, this is from a report. After arriving in the pod, Kohberger immediately sat down and watched the news about his arrest, watching multiple channels that were covering the story. Kohberger said, quote, "Wow, I'm on every channel," end quote. According to Roberts' report, DeMoss described Kohberger as quiet and awkward. And here's, let me put this here. It states here from the report that Kohberger was highly intelligent and analytic, always trying to figure out what you were doing, but didn't know common knowledge things, i.e. the difference between muscle cars. Kohberger would use 3 standard-sized bars of soap per week due to his hour-long showers and excessive hand washing. Kohberger's hands were red from the amount of hand washing. Now that's interesting to me, and I'm not a behavioral analyst, but, okay, let me just get a little personal here. 2 things I hate: the toilet, cleaning it, and the garbage can, because it's garbage. I don't know why. So I don't like touching the toilet. It's going to sound crazy, right? To clean it, because it's the toilet, and the garbage can. That's the extent of my germophobia or whatever. So I'm just thinking, would somebody that is going through 3 bars of soap a week, and I'm surprised you're getting hour-long showers in the jail, first of all, that you're going through 3 bars of soap per week, and you have this excessive hand washing, you're going to kill all these people with all this blood? And it's going to get messy? Right? And he's just in his cell, okay? Like, this would be, 4 to 6 people. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be all kinds of fluid and, like, is that interesting to you? It's interesting to me. Demas, this is Whitcomb again. Demas, who was housed with Kohberger for about 3 weeks, said Kohberger's favorite movie was American Psycho with Christian Bale. And let's see, hold on. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm having memories now. My trash phobia probably came from all my work in the police department, where I had to go through everybody's trash. Okay, trash pulls. They talk about trash pulls in the Kohberger case. Oh, I can absolutely visualize it. I have done so many as a private detective and as a regular detective. Even in the beginning, when I was first as an officer, we did this search warrant, and I had to go through so much nasty stuff in this one house. That's probably, and I got really, really, really sick. And that's probably where my desire to not have to touch those 2 areas comes from, just FYI. But I mean, good memories, good crime fighting memories, bad personal, the things that girls got to do to get the arrest. Okay, you got to go through some trash and go through some stuff. Food in the refrigerator. It was, if I could tell you, drugs hidden in baby diapers. Like, if I could tell you the things I've seen and the things that my gloved hands have had to go through, okay? The girl put her work in. The girl took a lot for the team, okay? Just saying. Okay. So, getting back, this is the cellmate, right? Says, after being advised of his Miranda rights, confirming he had not been ordered to talk with the police, he was advised of the purpose of the interview and that the interview would be recorded. Burnett provided the following information. He was housed with Kohberger from early January to February 15th. Kohberger enjoyed watching the news about his case unless it began talking about his family or friends, at which point he'd change the channel immediately. What is that? What do we think about that? As time continued, Kohberger stopped watching the news related to his case almost completely. Kohberger analyzed everything. He wanted to know why people had preferences on anything. He psychoanalyzes everything. What do his parents teach again? Are they psychology teachers? Psychologists? Wasn't one a psychologist? Trying to remember. They talked about his case sometimes, but never Kohberger's case. So they talked about Burnett's case. Kohberger spent most of his time on the communication tablet talking with people, typically his sister, who he told to retain an attorney after he had seen her on the news. Okay. Interesting, a little insight. So Whitcomb continues here. He says, like DeMoss, Burnett told investigators Kohberger washed his hands excessively, using 3 bars of soap per week, showered every day, and wanted new bedding and clothes every day. Interesting. And Roberts reported Kohberger was very smart, easy to get along with, but was hard to talk to because he talked over him due to Kohberger's vocabulary and topics of conversation. Now, I don't know if he's meaning he interrupted him or he talked over his head using big words and big sentences that Burnett did not understand. We're not sure. He says Kohberger also talked about his education a lot. Kohberger loved baseball, with the Yankees being his favorite team. Kohberger also liked to watch court TV and was very interested in the Murdaugh trial. And Whitcomb finishes here saying, despite the fact that police often try to develop incriminating information from jailhouse informants, nothing of evidentiary value has ever been disclosed. Okay, I'm looking at chapter 13, and it is entitled Othram Laboratories, Ibuprofen, and Dylan's Green Jacket. 1, you guys know that I'm totally interested in. And 2, that I've been like, okay. So I'm going to end this one, even if this is a short video here. I'm going to end this one because I'm probably going to go into depth in the other one because that is my wheelhouse, if I could say. Not that all this other isn't, but I'm very interested in the Othram thing and the DNA thing because that's what piqued my interest about this case. And I've heard some folks' opinions on it or whatever. But we'll see. Let's see what Mr. Whitcomb has to say. Let's see if other experts weigh in. And I will give you my take on that. So I will work on that next. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. As always, please comment below. We are 81 right now. Before I get into that one, we are 81% done with the book according to Kindle. So we're almost there. All right. I will see you on the next one.